I can't even do this. I can't even. I just see you cracking up.
Go in the other round.
1, 2, 3. Post Show and Tell with Dr. Ken.
Welcome to Post Show and Tell for Dr. Ken. Today we're talking about the episode Ken Helps Pat. I'm Joz Wang, your host, and this is my guest co-host.
Hi, I'm Lauren Alexander Sowa, and I am an actor and media academic.
So Lauren, tell us what happens in this episode.
Well, in this episode, Pat has decided that he wants everyone to work on Saturdays, and the office is not happy about it. So they convince Ken to go talk to Pat to see if they can have this not happen. So Ken goes to talk to Pat on his boat, which is on the driveway. That is where Pat is living now because he finds out that he's going through a bitter divorce with his wife. And Ken and Pat really finally have this heart-to-heart breakthrough moment. Also, Dave is given a new nickname, and this brings up some not-so-great memories for Allison.
So in previous shoots, there was some footage that we didn't get to share with you. So this is actually a great time for us to bring it up since it relates to the episode we're talking about right now.
Absolutely, and even though this episode was very Pat-heavy, Albert, who plays Dave, really had some great moments to shine, which was exciting to watch because I actually used to be a child actor back in the day. So some of the things that we talked to Dave about, I could relate to, was really interesting.
So we talked to Ken Jeong about working with Albert.
For me to work with Albert on Hot in Cleveland was great because and it definitely made an impact on me because when the pilot was when the script was ordered to pilot ABC, our immediate directive was that we got to get Albert Tsai. We just got to lock him in because we wrote the part with him in mind, and even in the script, in the first draft of the script, I'll try to get a Xerox of it where it says Dave's son, Ken's son Dave, and it says in parentheses, think Albert Tsai. And we were like, for me, he was the vital piece to that cog because if we can get Albert, then I think all the other pieces fall into play, and eventually did with Suzy and Krista.
We talked to Albert to find out more about how he became an actor and also Joz's hero.
Tell us, actually, I'm really curious, how did you become an actor? I mean, that's not something that every kid wakes up and decides that they want to do. How did you get in acting? And this is not your first show. You've done Trophy Wife, you were guesting on Fresh Off the Boat and other things.
Yeah. I actually, in second grade, I was in a school play called The Adventures of Flat Stanley Jr. And in that play, it was also comedy, and I was also playing a doctor, and he was named Dr. Dan, so a lot of resemblances.
So you went from acting in a school play to acting on television?
Yeah.
Dr. Dan to Dr. Ken.
Ha. Yes, I decided to have acting classes after that, and then I got my agent and my manager, and I started auditioning.
And now you're a pro. Amazing. You're like my hero. Like, I think when I was growing up, I wouldn't even imagine doing something like acting or being on camera. And so I think we're one of my heroes because you had a dream and you went after it, and I'm just so amazed by it.
We talked to Albert about his friends and having school on set.
I do online school, so it's basically school and a laptop. So the difference is, instead of having kind of classes or lessons in person, since we can't do that, we have these things called live lessons. They're kind of like presentations, like the teacher would draw stuff and put pictures up and talk with us about stuff, and we would in turn reply and talk about stuff, and that's how we do lessons. And then there are normal schoolwork we just work on every day.
Do you have a lot of friends who are going to be watching when it debuts October 2nd?
Yeah, a lot of my friends from San Jose, where I'm from, they're all supportive of me, and they all will watch. Like recently, one of my friends just texted me, when will your show premiere? And I texted her back the date, and she was like, yay, I'll definitely watch.
Are you gonna have maybe a little party or something when you go back to San Jose with the friends and maybe watch an episode?
I might, or I could visit them at school or something like that. Yeah.
So in this episode, we see Allison reacting to the situation with Dave's nickname. And in an earlier shoot where we got to interview Suzy Nakamura, she talks about some of the things she's interested and excited about for the rest of the season.
Well, you guys know that Margaret Cho was here, right?
I think we all do on Saturday.
That was such a special moment for me personally, but I know, everyone here was super, super stoked to have her here.
You were behind the scenes, there was such
Yeah, it meant
more people
so
than
much.
usual
Oh
behind
my
the
God.
scenes.
And you could feel the energy, right? Everyone felt that this was sort of a not passing the torch moment, but
A full circle moment.
a full circle moment. She was definitely a trailblazer, and I thought the idea to have her play Ken's younger, more successful sister is fantastic, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. For the rest
Yeah,
of America.
well, Michael and I were here for the taping of that, and I can say, like, it was really one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. I felt like I was here for a historic moment, like you said, a passing of the torch, a full circle moment.
And
But
Margaret talked to the audience, and it was emotional for me. And she's just such a wonderful person. It was just a dream of mine to work with her and to have her here and be able to spend that week with her. It's just, I would love to relive it when I watch the episode.
so, Lauren, we've now seen a few episodes. What are you excited about for the rest of the season?
Well, I am really excited to see where these female characters go. In my academic work, I have done a lot of research on gender and media representations of women. Not only how often are they being represented, but what kind of characters they're playing. Are they strong? Are they role models? That sort of thing. And so I think it's great that there are 2 female doctors in this show, Dr. Julie and Dr. Allison. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where those characters go and how they're going to be strong women and represent that for young girls watching the show.
Speaking of strong female characters, the one I'm really excited about is Molly, played by Krista Marie Yu. She's the only Asian American female teenager on network TV right now. And some people don't realize this, but the last one that we saw on television on network was Margaret Cho's character when she played in All American Girl 20 plus years ago. So there are other Asian American tweens and teens characters in prime time, but they're boys. And so we're going to see some fun stuff, I think, with Molly, who's a little bit manipulative. We saw in the first episode. She's also smart and pretty and popular, but also she's an older sister. So there's a lot going on with this character, and I'm personally really excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I think that sometimes the representation of gender and different ethnicities come to the same conversation because both are underrepresented in the media. And it's great to see both of that in one character. She's Asian American and she's a woman, a young girl. It's great. I'm really excited as well. So what's really interesting is that this is a medical/family comedy. And you get to see Ken's life at the office as well as at home with his kids. And I wonder where they're going to take the storyline in terms of health storylines and what maybe the kids can learn from that and viewers as well.
That's a good point because, Ken is a doctor in real life. He takes his profession actually very seriously, even though he's a comedian. And both the characters, the parents, Dr. Ken and Dr. Allison, they're medical professionals. So we have an opportunity to see the kids grow up with actual people who know what they're talking about. So we've got 2 kids who are going through adolescence, puberty, and hopefully they can tackle these issues in a funny and yet educational and at least informed way.
Absolutely. And I think it's really interesting that Ken is a doctor in real life. So he can, I'm sure, keep track of the script to make sure that everything is truthful and real health storylines. Hollywood Health and Society is an organization here in Hollywood that helps writers develop storylines to make sure that if they're talking about medicine that it's actually truthful, because audience members learn from what they watch on television. Even though it's just a fictional narrative, people get into that and they believe what they see on TV. And so you always want those things to be truthful so people can actually learn from it.
Speaking of child welfare, you have some personal experience of that as a child actor yourself.
Absolutely. I think it's a little different now than it was back in the 90s when I was a child actor, but I think the things that stay the same is that there's child labor laws set out by SAG-AFTRA, that they're taking care of the kids, making sure they're not working too much. There's always a tutor on set. They have to be in school, learning, that sort of thing. And also the Coogan laws that protects their financials.
Well, I think what's really interesting now is that there's social media. And I know with a lot of the child actors, they actually do not control their own social media, but the parents have the responsibility of interacting and controlling the social media. That's something that you didn't have to deal with.
Absolutely, and that's really interesting to think about because you already have these connotations of stage parents, but if they're the ones who are now controlling the social media accounts, that's an interesting aspect to it. I noticed that though when I was looking at the Twitter accounts of the people on the show, and I saw that the kids have their own Twitter handle. And a lot of times in the industry, there's a lot of importance put on your Twitter followers, your Instagram followers, social media following, even down to the audition, where casting directors will look and see who has the bigger following, because that will help the show then, because they will have a fan base already built in. Where before, you just went on the audition and they picked you if they liked you and not how everyone else felt about you, because they didn't know that yet. And now we're in a time and place where people know if you're going to be a successful idol and people can be your fan.
So let's help out Krista Marie Yu and Albert Tsai. Let's follow them on Twitter. It's just their names, at Krista Marie Yu and at Albert Tsai. So Lauren, what nicknames did you have growing up?
Well, my parents always called me Scooter because I would scoot around a little scooter when I was a kid. And then one that I didn't like was my 8th grade math teacher always called me Blondie, usually followed up by a dumb blonde joke, which I always found rather offensive considering that I did really well in that class. Did you have any nicknames growing up?
So my name is Jocelyn, but everybody calls me Joz now. It was shortened to Joz and then later to Joz. So I think this is a good time to ask the audience, what was your nickname? Like us, comment, tell us in the comments what your nickname was growing up.
Good or bad.
Yep. And subscribe to us. Watch us again next week. Thanks so much, Lauren, for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was great.
See you next time.